What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Blindside Sports, episode 36. All right. My name is Emmett Douglas. We're coming to you from the Blindside Studios. A little bit of a different episode. We're starting solo. We're going to be diving into some NFL free agency, some Lakers, stuff like that. NFL offseason trades, blah, 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 all of that. And then joining us later on the show is the author of the book, The View of the Cheap Seats by Bernie Fratto, Fox Sports radio host. It's our guy, Bernie Fratto. He'll be stopping by to, give us maybe some MLB insight and some NFL insight. But Bernie, he does a great job over on FSR and definitely some good stories. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I want to lead with a take I've had on Baker Mayfield for a while now. And you're probably wondering, why do I want to lead with Baker Mayfield? And that's because I didn't really touch on it in my last episode, and I touched on Deshaun Watson more with Martin Weiss. Me and Martin kind of discussed Deshaun Watson, so I feel like I don't need to talk about it with the leadoff. And to be honest with you guys, I'm really shocked Baker has ended up on an NFL team. And this Baker Mayfield hate, guys, it needs to stop. It needs to stop because Baker Mayfield, what he'll do for you is in that system, if he's in a good system, Baker will be fine. He'll be an excellent player. We saw it in 2019, 2020 with the Browns when they almost made it to the playoffs, right? Or they did make it to the playoffs. They almost made it to the championship. They were a stacked team, right? Baker had the best, his best season yet. And then last year, we're talking last season, wasn't so good. That's because the players were injured. Baker was playing with a rotator cuff injury. And the Browns, they decided to go off and pull the ultimate Omega horrible move, but good move if everything pans out right. I'll just say risky, and not that's like what you got put it as. Like the Deshaun Watson trade was just risky and stuff like that. If you guys are wondering why I don't have headphones on either, forgot to charge these bad boys up. And I'd rather have headphones on for the Bernie interview, obviously. If you guys are on YouTube, you guys are like, why is there no headphones? If you guys listen to audio, you're like, okay, what are you talking about, dude? But where's it going? So yeah, Deshaun or Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a system quarterback. I have said it again and again on the show, and the point needs to be brought up. The point needs to be brought up because it's true, right? If Baker Mayfield goes to the right system, he has a couple good solid wide receivers. He has a couple. He has a good running back, a good enough line, good coach. He's gonna do great. He's not like a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes. Joe Burrow. I won't say he's a system guy either. Like he's not like that where you can just plug him in and it will work. Baker Mayfield needs to be in the right area. I still think Baker Mayfield could have a successful NFL career. Last season with the Browns was kind of crappy. I mean, you had injury galore. You had all of this. Baker Mayfield was playing with a rotator cuff, and I will say some of the decisions were a little bit questionable. But we saw what he did in 2019, 2020. That team was going crazy, and the Browns upgraded too. So I think there's a couple teams that Baker could end up going to. Seahawks, first of all, I don't know if this is biased or not, but if you keep DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, you have Noah Fant. That's three good guys. You have the 9th pick. You can draft somebody. You have Rashad Penny. The only thing he's lacking really is a line on that Seahawks team and the defense. If we're talking playmaker, wide receivers, or tight ends, if you're talking Noah Fant, then that is a solid trade for the Seattle Seahawks. And for Baker too, gets to go to the PNW. Why not go to rainy Washington State? I live here. It's whatever. But the next team that I could see him going to would kind of be, I wouldn't be shocked if this happened, is the Steelers. And that for Baker, that's just good coaching right there. You get to go with Mike Tomlin. I don't know if he'd have as good of numbers as he would in Seattle, but Mike Tomlin is a good serviceable coach. You have some of those guys in the Steelers. They're looking for a guy, the post Big Ben era, right? The post Big Ben Roethlisberger era is key, boys. Right? I think the Steelers, it'll be my second favorite team for him to go to. Because look, I don't know if I'm buying into Mitchell Trubisky being like their number one guy. It just seems a little weird to me. The third team is the New York Giants, and these are like a top three. I could probably craft more, but these are three that came to my mind, and I don't like this move at all for Baker. I think this would be setting up Baker for the most failure, and I don't know why you'd want to go to New York. Like, they're, first of all, the media, if we're talking New York media here, way harder on players and talent than like the Pittsburgh media. Like, the Pittsburgh media is kind of like, there's not much being said there. New York, because it's such a big market, and the Giants are they're just not doing like right things. I just like it would be kind of setting Baker up for failure. And I don't know if I'd be down with that if I were Baker. But then again, it's trade. He has no choice. Like, they can just ship him off like wherever they want to. And yeah, Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas with you. Those are my thoughts on Baker Mayfield. And the other possibility too with Baker, before we move on real quick here, is he stays with the Browns for this season while the NFL punishes Deshaun Watson. That is another scenario that has been thrown out, and I don't know how I feel about that one either, because I feel like Baker is like, just at this point, just like, come on, Cleveland, you guys are disrespecting me. I don't like this. So I don't know. And like Roger Goodell kind of no commented when they asked about Deshaun Watson a couple days ago. What's that? Oh, so yeah, I just feel like that him staying with the Browns, it might happen. It's just, I just don't see it being very likely. And and especially with the weak quarterback class, I wouldn't be shocked if like somebody like was like, "Ooh, yo, Baker Mayfield, we'll take him." Say like, quarterbacks do get overvalued, but like something happens and then he goes to a team. That's a possibility. Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas with you. Now I want to move on to Bobby Wagner signing a 5-year, $50 million contract with the LA Rams. How about this? All right, Bobby Wagner is like 31, 32 years old. He'll be 32 in June, and he's still productive. Like, second leading tackler. And that Rams defense is just going insane. 5 years is a lot. I don't know if he'll be cut by then. Like, I don't know if he'll make like the full 5-year. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he got cut or something like that. But but man, that's a solid pickup for the Rams. He hasn't really had any injury issues. Like, he's been with the Seahawks most of his career, all of his career, but he hasn't like had like, for example, if we're talking Von Miller, where like Von Miller had some injury issues, missed the whole campaign of 2020, 2019. No, it is 2020. Yeah. The whole campaign of 2020, 2021, kept messing that one up. And I think Bobby Wagner, he's that Rams defense and what the Rams have done. Somebody on Twitter said that, the Rams aren't going to make the playoffs. I completely disagree with that. I think the Rams are going to be really solid, really good team. And I think we're at this point, they are the favorite out of the NFC. Right? Packers, you just lost Devontae Adams. Maybe they do something on draft night to fix their wide receiver hole. Buccaneers, maybe. Those are like the three teams that come to my mind. Like, Niners, who knows what's going to happen, because they claim that Trey Lance is going to be their starting quarterback. And that NFC is just miles better than the AFC. or the AFC is miles around the NFC. Kind of like the theme of last episode or a couple episodes ago. Like I kept bringing that up, and that was before all these moves. Yeah. Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas with you guys, coming to you from the Blindside Studios. Get me on Twitter at EmmettNosi04. Get the show on Twitter at BlindsidePod11. Get me on Instagram at EmmettNosi. Get the show at Blindside Sports 00. Get the show on TikTok at Blindside Sports 7. Now, how about the Lakers, right? It is doubtful they're going to be making the play-in tournament. And look, what I'll say about this is, did I expect the Lakers to be like a number one seed, like dominant? No. But what I did expect is like a 5th or 6th seed, maybe a 4th seed. And I said this when this podcast launched. My first episode was the time of the Russell Westbrook trade. And I said that, look, the Lakers are just, it's an old roster, first of all. Second of all, there's no shooting, and this NBA is shooting dominant. Like Russell Westbrook is not a shooter. LeBron James, he's there, but look, AD is, like Westbrook was just the worst possible move for me with like all the stats, right? And that's why I'm like, it's not Westbrook's fault, right? Yeah, it was a bad move, but it's not Westbrook's fault why they're doing so bad. This is the Lakers trading for Westbrook. We knew and we know who Russell Westbrook is. LeBron James, I know I've ripped him in past episodes. Offensive-wise, he's been putting up points. The issue with the Lakers, no shooting and no defense. Defense wins championships, right? You can't have a guy like Russell Westbrook paired up on the floor with LeBron James and AD. And that's what I said. I feel like there's going to be some issues. And also, another funny stat here with the Lakers. The Lakers have had 39 different starting lineups this season. Talk about like craziness right there. 39 different starting lineups, guys. And I just feel like the Lakers, something needs to be done. And I like, we've seen LeBron and AD work, right? LeBron James isn't getting any younger, and he isn't getting any healthier either. Every year he starts to miss more time and injuries. And I think the bubble tie, we're going to kind of transition into this because it's kind of a topic, and my views kind of changed on it. I think the bubble championship was legit because there were so many other challenges, like being stuck in a freaking bubble for 2 months, 3 months. It was a long time. But the advantage to that was the bodies. Everybody was healthy. LeBron James had like a 3-month break in between. Like he had a 3-month quarantine, get right, come back, win the championship. But I still think the championship is real. It's just something you have to point out as a guy who follows sports, right? And that's why I think LeBron James, like, look, the 3 years we've seen without the bubble, injuries have been a factor. He's not getting any younger. And I just don't see the Lakers trading him, but I do see them trading Westbrook. I wouldn't be shocked if the LeBron AD thing lasted a whole nother season, but still. Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas with you, coming to you from the Blindside Studios. The NFL changed their overtime rule in the playoffs, and personally, I'm a big fan of this because, look, I feel like the coin toss, yeah, it depends on a coin toss, but I like this. You get heads or tails, say you call heads, get heads, score, come down, score a touchdown. The other team has a chance to go and score to match you, and then that's when it becomes sudden death. I like this. And I like this because a lot of people are like, but it's like, I think we kind of want sudden death after each team has a chance to score a touchdown, right? You've had your chance. If you can, play some defense for, like stop the ball, right? If you can, like, after you have your one chance, I think it's perfect timing to grab that touchdown, right? To grab that game winner after every team has a chance to, take a score, take a field goal. Well, obviously it's touchdown. And something else I like that I like for this overtime is something that I don't know if we're going to see it very often or how it's going to work, but obviously there's only for playoffs, but say, it's a 7-point game, so-and-so, like, I don't know, let's go Chiefs Bills. Chiefs just scored a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes went down the field, threw a bomb to Travis Kelce for a touchdown. Bills come back, and Josh Allen throws a bomb to Stephon Diggs in the end zone. Touchdown. The Bills now have the option to either kick the extra point to tie it or go for 2 and win the game. But if they miss a 2, they lose the game. I don't know how we're going to, if any team's going to, big balls that, like put like a Brandon Staley situation there. But it is something to look at. I think it's interesting. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about this new rule. I think it could affect games. I'm really curious and juiced to see, like, next season in the playoffs if anyone tries to do this. Because if they miss a 2-point conversion, the media would be crowning them, boys. The media would be on their heads. Talk about embarrassing, right? Talk about getting absolutely crushed by the media. If a team went for 2 and missed, boys, they would be cracked. But I understand though, like, I actually understand both arguments if we're talking like football play stand of things here. It's like you have your chance to go for 2. You don't want to give Patrick, for example, like last year, the Bills won't want to give Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and Kelce and that stacked offense the ball back. I understand it, but then I understand the point of we're not taking risks, right? And that's just us in the media. Whenever you miss something like that, it's just how that goes. It's just how that one goes. Like, you're going to get ripped. You're going to get torn to pieces and all of that here on Blindside Sports. Emmett Douglas with you. Those are my thoughts on the new overtime rule. We've had a big wide receiver stir up in the month of March. The month of March was March Madness, literally, figuratively, all of that. And it wasn't just college basketball. As North Carolina, the Tar Heels are playing KU, Kansas University, tonight. That's going to be a good game. This episode might have been posted after the championship because it's like 3:30 Pacific Standard Time on Monday. As I'm recording this, let's see what time. Let's give an exact. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 3:28.
Okay, it's about to be.
Have a good Monday.
It's about to be 3:30. So I'm not going to give a pick because I don't think this episode is going to be out before 6:20. And who's going to watch it? Like, I don't know. Just seems a little fishy to me to give a pick. But, man, what I do want to dive into before we get into the wide receiver shakeups, I kind of went on a tangent here. The Duke loss, man. What a crazy game that was. And it was just the Kansas Nova game was like, oh, whatever, here we go. Right, like we are all just like, what? Here we go, Coach K. Like the Kansas Nova game was whatever. Coach K, Duke, NC, man, that was going crazy. That game was awesome. And I was personally rooting. I know there's a lot of Coach K haters who listen to Blindside Sports with Emmett Douglas. I know they're out there. There's a lot of Duke haters in general, but man, it would have been so cool for Coach K to end on the championship. Now, for a lot of people saying he's coming back, I don't think that's going to happen because you have your guy already picked out, like John, however you say his name, but you have him already ready to come take over for you. So I just think that this kind of like all of this, and the Duke's like, all right, we have our guy. Coach K accepted he has his guy. I think Coach K, yeah, it sucks the way you went out, but I think Coach K is like, okay, I lost this game. The Duke, they just weren't like the Duke that we seen earlier. And North Carolina was just a better team. And now I'm rooting for North Carolina in the championship. I don't know about winning, but like they they're the better, like they crushed the Baylor Bears in like the first round of the tournament, and they almost blew a 25-point lead, and then they're just getting even better, right? I mean, I said I'm not gonna talk about the game, but like the Tar Heels are on old legs. They had to fight way harder than Kansas did to beat Villanova, so I think that could be an issue. But man, just to see if Hubert Davis were to win in his first year of on the job at Carolina, then that would be crazy. That would be super awesome. I'd love to see it, man. There's, for me, I know like a lot of people are like big Team Duke, Team NC State, or North Carolina. There was no I couldn't hate on any of that. They were both cool stories. Like Coach K won a championship and then left. What a great way to go out. Hubert Davis, first season, made it to the championship. That's still a cool story. For me, this was no like lose or no, there's no loss in this. This was a win-win. Now I'm gonna dive back into the NFL here, and then we're gonna get to our guest Bernie Fratto. Now there has been a big wide receiver shakeup, and now people are calling for DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf was like, I haven't heard any of this. And then Brian Noe, our guy, our boy, former guest on this podcast, he basically goes on and he says, hey, man, you didn't hear anything, but Bobby didn't hear anything. I just thought that was funny. But the two big wide receiver moves, and we kind of touched on them with Martin Weiss, but I want to give my full thoughts again, is Tyreek Hill went over to the Dolphins in exchange for some nice picks. And for me, I like this move, right? You get Tua completely set up. Tua Tagovailoa, Matt Breida, Mostert, Gesicki. You bring in Tyron Armstead, left tackle. You have Jalen Waddle. You have Tyreek Hill. All of these guys. You keep in mind the Dolphins have a solid defense. This is a dream setup for Mike McDaniel, the head coach of the Dolphins as well. But for me, what this shows and what this is gonna show, this is a move. I think the Dolphins were like, all right, Tua, we're gonna give you your setup. Because this, man, if I'd want Baker to go here, but this is Tua's team. But I think what the Dolphins are trying to do here is Tua, my guy. We are literally laying it on a table for you to show us that you are our guy. And if you can't do anything with this team, then I don't know what you can do. Tyreek Hill, top 2 receiver in the NFL. Right? Devontae Adams are a top 3 because Cooper Kupp's kind of climbed that horizon for me. But that guy's a playmaker. Jalen Waddle, up and coming rookie, coming into a second year. Gesicki, also a good player. You trade Devontae Parker to the Patriots, but for like a third this year, and who knows what they're going to do there. And the Dolphins are up. The Dolphins are just so well set up. Like they've been doing it right. Like, yeah, their owner has like all this tanking allegations and all this, and then they fired Flores, which I don't know. But like if we're talking players, they are all the acquisitions they have made are just impressive to me. What they've been able to do is just impressive to me, right? Like I think this is Tua's dream scenario. And if Tua can't do anything with this is the Dolphins saying, buddy, pal, boss, brother, if you can't prove anything with this team, if you have a crappy year or maybe even an average year with this team, I don't know what we're going to do with you. I really don't. And I wholeheartedly believe that. And For Tyreek Hill, this is a weird move. I know Martin Weiss was talking about money, but it wasn't like it was a little bit more money, and you have to the talent level is just crazy to me. Going from Patty Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa. That's why I think there was a little more. But then again, we're in the social media side of things to where there is no such thing as a little more. Quietly, there's a little more, but it's going to be out there. But I still feel like there's something that maybe we don't know about. Maybe like it was private. Like he's like, I don't like Jackson Mahomes. Like this TikTok crap is stupid. I want to go to the Dolphins, team up with my boy Tua Tagovailoa, and do all that. So I just think it's an interesting move. And for the Chiefs, definitely costly, I think. But then again, it's the bread. The bread is speaking, and I think the beef is speaking too. And we're going to get to that in a minute when we bring up the Davante Adams trade, because they kind of relate to me a little bit here. And yeah, I just feel like, and also the thing is, it's kind of like the young receiver thing. I mean, the Chiefs could draft someone. The Chiefs are good at making weapons, opens up a pathway for Mecole Hardman. I hear that maybe you trade for Brandon Cooks from the Houston Texans. He's starting to become available. Maybe you do that. If you're Patrick Mahomes, why not? Right? If you're that Chiefs front office, why not trade for Cooks? Right? Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas with you. Now, the other move I wanted to get to here real fast is Davante Adams to the Raiders. Talk about a great move. This Raiders team, right? I was talking to Danny G Radio, producer Cavino and Rich, Chris and Arnie, Fifth Hour Podcast. He diehard Raiders fan. And this is before the Tyreek Hill trade. This is like 2 weeks ago. And he's like, man, this Raiders team, they're something else. Watch out for him. And I'm like, okay, I love the Davante move, but this division is just so stacked, right? Davante Adams helped out Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr, Davante Adams, freaking Darren Waller at tight end. You got Josh Jacobs at running back. You got the other guy receiver, Hunter Renfrow. Man, you got a good defense. Josh McDaniel, I mean, it's a little iffy. I like the move going to the Raiders, but it's iffy. Can't say it's iffy, But man, Davante Adams to the Raiders is a good move. Now, when this trade happened, I was like, I don't know about success because how stacked this division is. But I honestly think the Chiefs have taken a kind of decent step back with this Tyreek Hill thing, with this Tyreek Hill trade. So now I think the order opens up to where I think like it's anyone's division. I lean more towards the Chargers or Chiefs. Maybe the Broncos slide up in there, but man, this move helps out the Raiders so much, and I'm just like, for the Raiders, good for you, right? You guys go get the best receiver in the NFL. He is solid. He's electric. We saw him and Aaron Rodgers, man, connect. It was cracked, okay? Like, no one tell me that wasn't, bro. And, if you're the Raiders, you get that good receiver. And if you're the Packers, first of all, it was money, obviously. They tried to franchise tag Davante Adams. And also his lifelong dream was to be a Raider. And he gets to team up with Derek Carr, his college teammate. And it's funny, too, because Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams had this whole thing last summer, basically saying how, like, they're boys, they're homies, inseparable on Instagram. And, well, 10 months later, or 8 months later, here we are. They're separated. For the Packers, this is a pretty big loss. I mean, like I said, you could draft somebody young, and you lose Valdez-Scantling, but you could draft somebody young. Yeah, it's going to be good. Aaron Rodgers is going to still have a receiver, but it's not Davante Adams. It's same thing for Mahomes. It's not Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you can draft someone it's going to be a good fit. I can't disagree with you. But these receivers are such freaking superstars. That's just so hard. Davante Adams, he could be replaceable, but it's going to take some time. And I haven't really done too much research into the draft yet because free agency has been just blessing us with all these moves and stuff. But now that's April, I think I'm gonna start doing it. And to me, there's a couple guys, but I don't know if we're gonna see like the next Devontae Adams or the next Tyreek Hill. But then again, you never know, right? That's the beauty of the NFL draft. You can have these guys who are either really good or really crappy. Episode 36, we're doing it's a good show, man. One more story before I hop on to talk to Bernie Fratto here. And that is this Colin Kaepernick thing. And Colin Kaepernick is trying to get another opportunity in the NFL, right? And I personally, my thoughts on this one are it's can't hurt. Colin Kaepernick's like, I just want a backup role at this moment. You don't have to pay him the big like $10 million. You can give him like 1 year, like $3 million and all this. And apparently he was actually looking like at his training and all that. He wasn't looking bad. People were hyped with him. For me, why? It's just like, come on. Like if it was a starter, okay, then I have questions. The guy hasn't played football in 6 years. But for a backup quarterback, right? Why not? Who knows if he can touch the ball, right? He just wants to be on a roster. And he gets to, and if you as a team sign Kaepernick, you are going to get respect. A lot of franchises, a lot of fans, a lot of media members are going to praise you and respect you. So I'm like, look, I don't know if it's going to happen, but for me, now we've actually seen what he can do. And then that other trainer was just talking him up last week or a couple of weekends ago. For me, it's a can't hurt. I don't have an issue with the guy. I didn't like him as a player because I'm a Seahawks fan. I don't like the Niners, but I have no issue with it. It can't hurt the dude. Let him have his chance in the NFL. Like if you were, like I said, if you were to go, okay, I want to be starting quarterback. Okay, then we're talking, man, bro, dude, you haven't played in a long time. You have not touched a dang football in forever. So I just don't know how that's going to work. All right. I just iffy. Blindside Sports, Emmett Douglas with you. I think, I don't know if I'm going to give it a 40% chance to get signed by an NFL team. Because just the question of him being like 34, 35 years of age is enough for an NFL team. And okay, yeah, that's young for a quarterback. We've seen Tom Brady, but he hasn't touched a football since like 2015. So yeah, coming up next on the show, Bernie Fratto. He is a Fox Sports radio host, and he writes. He's the author of View of the Cheap Seats. We're gonna do that. We'll do that in just a minute. Before though, I want to say, go ahead and follow my socials. Let's put the headphones on here. Go ahead and follow my socials, Emmett NoC04. I'll put all those in the description. But before we get over to Bernie, go subscribe, like, download, follow wherever you are. Turn on your notifications. Share it with your friends. Want to know why I want to share it with your friends? Because word of mouth advertising is the best. Okay. Me saying, oh, this episode's good. Yeah. Okay. Bro, go check it out. Yeah. Okay. That's cool and all. But you are literally saying, you as a homie are like, okay, I enjoy this episode. Check this one out. All right. Enough of me blabbing. We're going to get over to Bernie Fratto momentarily here. I'll see you with Bernie.
No problem.
And now he's here. You can hear him on Fox Sports Radios every Saturday overnight going into Sunday mornings. You can go check out his book on Amazon. It's called View of the Cheap Seats. Get him on Twitter at Bernie Fratto. And, if this is a guy where you're like, oh, it's just another guy you're plugging his Twitter, go follow this guy. Talk about a guy who gives proper insight of, stuff like NFL. He does it all. And it was really interesting, Bernie, to hear and, see your stuff on Twitter regarding the MLB lockout. That was something that you covered really well. And I was really proud of that. And like I was like, man, this guy's great. Like that's when I really knew. I knew you're the great, but it was really confirmed with the lockout. How you doing, Bernie?
Good, thank you. And well, that has special significance for me, and I'll tell you why. Because I began my radio career in June of '94, and in
Oh,
June of
yep.
'94, um, that was about 6 weeks before the actual strike that canceled the World Series began in '94. So one of my first assignments at WTK in Ann Arbor was covering that and covering baseball. And I'll never forget being at Tiger Stadium the final game, August 11th, before they went on strike, and talking to Mike Henneman, says, we're not going to have a World Series. And I got to know a lot of people. And the bottom line is the angst and the attitude and the animosity that existed between the players and the owners in '94. It was the same vibe again in 2022. So as it started to emerge, and I've been saying for 18 months, for 20 months, this is going to be like '94 again in terms.
And
Uh,
having some technical difficulties here. All right. You there,
can you
Bernie?
hear me on my back?
Yep, you're good. You're good. You left off about saying how this year or the 2022 lockout had potential to be like 1994.
Right, because the negotiation was more like a game of chicken and a test of wills, because the two sides hate each other. So I have obviously now, after all these years, I have a ton of contacts and a ton of moles, and so I access those moles on a daily basis, and so I had a pretty good feel for what was happening.
Yeah. I thought that was like cool. And we're, as recording this on Monday, April 4th here, we're like 72 hours out, less than that probably by now, from opening day of the Major League Baseball season. And you said this before, and a lot of people have, and we're lucky that it's starting now, because 94, obviously they lost a lot of time. And compared to now, as look, we're starting April 7th. Like this was supposed to start March 31st. We only lost,
Right,
and I believe it's the full like season too. So like we only lost like a
right.
week of true play. And I think it was really weird. And it was kind of, if you're like a really like diehard baseball guy, like looking into this, it was kind of getting a little scary there, because you would have these offers and then there'd be something that the players wanted and the owners didn't throw in, and it kept going like that. And then I remember the Monday night of February 28th, when they were up until like 1, 2 in the morning, like they're in Florida. I was like, there's no way they go this long, they don't have a deal. Well, I was wrong, but it only lasted a week, and then we had our deal. And I kind of want to dive into some NFL talk now, Bernie. And you've talked about on your show over on Fox Sports Radio, because this offseason has been hectic, from Deshaun Watson to two of like the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL getting moved over to different teams. I have to ask you, what is, it doesn't have to be all those big name moves, but for you like to look at, the very deep side of sports. So I have to ask you, what is the most underrated offseason move that you've seen this NFL offseason?
Believe it or not, I think the most underrated move is Tyreek Hill going to Miami, because a lot of folks don't have faith in Tua. I do. Uh, but their new coach is going to know how to use him well. And
Mm-hmm.
Miami's going to have an entirely different look this year. Uh, I don't think people necessarily expect Miami to be a playoff team or to overtake Buffalo. But I think as the season goes on, you're going to see that move pay real dividends. Obviously, when a Russell Wilson goes to Seattle, or check that, Denver, they're bringing him in to win a Super Bowl. They've got a great defense. They've got weapons offensively. They want to copy the model and what Tampa Bay did in 2020 and what the Rams did in 2021. This is the new model, right? Bring in a quarterback and see what happens. Obviously, there's high hopes for Matt Ryan going to Indianapolis. Frank
Mm-hmm.
Reich, they believe they've got a close to Super Bowl ready roster, and they can win a Super Bowl. So when you look at these moves, Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, and right on down the line, I think although Tyreek Hill, people know he's flashy, the move's underrated, because I actually think he's going to help them win games.
Mm-hmm. I would okay. My thing for this is, and I literally just talked about this right before you hopped on here, is for me, this is the Dolphins saying Tua, this is your ultimate setup for success here. And if you don't do anything with this, I don't know what we're gonna do with you, right? You're pairing up Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, who had a pretty solid rookie campaign last year, and then you have another move that the Dolphins made, which I like, is getting a superstar lineman in Tyron Armstead, right? And the Dolphins, yeah, they've had some weird situations going in the front office and all that. But if we're talking players and moves they made, the Dolphins have done it all right. And for me, also, you brought up Matt Ryan, Bernie. I kind of want to dive into this before I ask you the next question. Matt Ryan to the Colts. I like the move because like I don't know, it's just that roster to me. You said it, Jonathan Taylor and Naeem Hines. That's a duo that is great. I mean, they have good defense. You have the best offensive line, including the best lineman in the league, Quentin Nelson, right?
Right.
And that's just the issue for me, right? And it's not an issue. It's more of the AFC. There's so many contenders compared to the NFC, right? And I'm sure you're more of a dark horse guy, so you probably have these guys, these teams that I would never even think of in the NFC. But I have to wonder if like the Dolphins or the Colts were in the NFC, we might be saying different here, right? Especially with the Packers losing Devontae Adams. I know people say you could get another receiver in the draft, but Devontae Adams is Devontae Adams. That's kind of special, right?
Well, the balance of power certainly looks like it's shifted to the AFC, but when you assemble your team, the first order of business is to win your division.
Mm-hmm.
That's the idea. To win your division and try to get at least one home playoff game. And you go from there. And when you get into the playoff tournament, anything can happen, and usually does. The Rams had to win 4 straight games, and if Jaquiski Tart doesn't drop a fair catch, basically,
Yeah.
and an arm punt from Matt Stafford, we're having a different conversation. So
I know your guy Bo
difficult to
Benson
handle.
does not like that whenever that gets brought up. Your producer
Well,
on the weekends.
it's
He's
the
a
truth.
Rams.
Is it the truth?
I mean, yeah, it's the truth, but Bo, he's a Rams apologist. Come on.
That's okay. Bo's a good guy. He's a fan.
I love Bo. Yeah, he's coming
but
on the
look,
show soon.
Long and the short of it is, the Rams won. Okay.
Yep.
But if you in any NFL game, I covered the Lions for 10 years. There's usually about 5 plays that decide the game one way or the other, and it could be the team that makes the play or the team that doesn't make the play. And that was one of those 5 plays. But I'm really giving the Rams credit because they had to win 4 playoff games, and they were lucky they got a couple at home. But the Tampa Bay game was dicey. Obviously,
the second half of that game was dicey.
Well, when you're tied with a minute to go and Brady's going to get the ball back,
That's a scary sight.
Rams they were nervous, but they won. And then the 49ers game, they're trailing 17-7, and the Rams are trailing 17-7 in the fourth quarter. What's the moral of the story? Is that all these things on paper look nice, and the balance of the power clearly is in the AFC, but you've still got some damn good teams in the NFC as well. Dallas is going to be a tough out. The Rams are going to be a very tough out again. The 49ers are going to be a very tough out again. And as long as Aaron Rodgers is alive in Green Bay, you've still got plenty of quality teams in the NFC.
And Tampa.
Sometimes people get caught up in the groupthink narrative because Russell Wilson was already in the AFC. Okay. Now Matt Ryan comes from the NFC to the AFC, but they never won in Atlanta, although Matt's a good quarterback. He's throwing for 60,000 yards in his career, so he's going to help him. So, but you've got to let this play out. You just don't know.
Yeah, that's the beauty of NFL. Like, and as the thing of football compared to like different sports, like we see like all these, like for example, like the Warriors from like 2015 to 2019, they're always doing it. But football, there's always that different team. There's always that, like, no one had the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. I mean, and that is the beauty of the NFL. And I do agree with you, about the Rams. And you were a guy who was like Rob Parker, one of the, our guy Rob Parker, one of your, good friends, Rob Parker, who was not too confident in Matthew Stafford. I remember you were filling in for Ben Maller over the holiday, and you triggered a bunch. Coop, Roberto, they disagreed. The callers, a lot of people on Twitter, and you're like, look, man, I've seen what this guy can do, and then he kind of came and proved his like doubters wrong and took it to the Super Bowl, and it was dicey, right? It wasn't a perfect thing, perfect situation there, and kind of like the 49ers getting to the NFC Championship. There were some dicey things there, but that's just football, right? It's like the what if game. And you said it earlier, you covered the Detroit Lions for 10 years, and some news happened for the Lions, Bernie. A couple good things happened the past, week and a half. First of all, you guys got named Hard Knocks. How do you feel about that, Bernie? I think
it's great because Dan Campbell will be worth the price of admission, and one of his assistants, Aaron Glenn's, got a nice mouth on him too. And they were only one of 3 teams eligible. It could only be Carolina, the Jets, or the Lions this year, because you can't have been on the last 10 years. You can't have made the playoffs either the last 2 years, and you can't have a first-year coach. So there were only 3 teams eligible. Plus, I've spent a lot of time in those Allen Park facilities. They're very nice. So people get to take this is the first time the Lions will have ever been on. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. And they're going to get the number 2 pick overall.
All right, Bernie, the number 2 pick overall.
Yep.
So yeah.
Who's they going to pick? Are you asking me?
Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask you that in a minute, but if you finish your Hard Knocks thought first, and then we'll lead right into that.
Well, I think people will enjoy seeing the Lions. Dan Campbell will be worth the price of admission. You'll get to see the number 2 draft pick. Aaron Glenn is kind of got a mouth on him too. He's one of their assistants, and I think I've seen enough of the Cowboys. They've been on 3 times, right? So,
right. The Cowboys, man. They will talk about the most. I don't want to get into it, right? Because I could be here for like hours, but everyone is just, I don't know. I just don't feel the Cowboys stuff. And you said it. Who do you think the Lions are going to select with that number 2 pick? Are you going like Chris Buffett, your producer, with like him talking about Malik Willis? Are you going defensive guy?
There's no way they're drafting Malik Willis. There's zero chance. Zero chance they draft Malik Willis. They'll go with a defensive player. They're talking about Sauce Gardner, possibly Kayvon Thibodeau, although his stock's dropping. Gun to my head right now, they're drafting Sauce Gardner, the cornerback out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, I'm tired of Jared Goff getting bashed. He's got a better career record than Stafford. He's got a higher percentage passing. He's got a higher QBR. He's been to a Super Bowl. People got to get off the guy's nuts. Stafford does have better arm talent, but Goff is not chopped liver, for crying out loud. And the Lions need to build a whole team around him, as opposed to going back, pissing away a number 2 pick so we can hold a clipboard all year. You need to draft a guy who's going to get on the field this year and start and be an all-pro, and that could be Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati.
Yeah, Jared Goff, like he was on that Rams team that was just so talented. And the Rams are still so talented, right?
And that team went to the Super Bowl. They averaged 31 points a game, and they ran into Bill Belichick and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
all right, it wasn't. And Sean McVay gave up on him. And let me tell you, he did not have anywhere near the defense that Stafford had this year with this Ram defense. That's a fact. Taking nothing away from Stafford. People want to make these apples and apples comparisons. Well, Stafford had plenty of chances in Detroit in 2014. You had the number 2 defense, 6 Pro Bowlers, went 11-5 that year. You had Calvin Johnson, you had weapons, and they went to. Now, what the Lions need to do is.
And the Gremlins got us again. Emmett Douglas, Blindside Sports here. Hope to, get joined again by Bernie momentarily here. All right, he's back. Is he? Can you hear me, Bernie?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, the cell service, man. It's okay.
I got full bars. I'm in a really good spot. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, you said it. Matthew Stafford, he did have his chance, and I think what the Lions are doing is they are like Amon-Ra St. Brown we saw last year. Him and Jared, he kind of started to come
Yeah.
through. And I just feel like Jared Goff, like, yeah, okay, has there been some sketchy things? And also, Bernie, I don't know if you said this because the Gremlins got us, but that the playoffs last season with Jared Goff's last season in LA as a Ram, even against the Seahawks, he was battling a hand injury.
And he played his butt off.
Yeah,
and they
beat
got
the
to win in
Seahawks.
Chicago too. They got a playoff win that year, and then they lost. Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
Sean McVay. See here.
Sean McVay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Sean McVay gave up on Stafford on Goff. He did not feel as time went on he could run the entire playbook that he would like to run, and I believe that's true. Stafford has a better arm talent, and there are certain throws he can make that Goff either wasn't allowed to make or maybe couldn't make.
Yeah.
So that ended up bearing out. But remember, football's played in 3 phases. The Rams were very good in all 3 phases. And they basically put together a fantasy team all-pro defense that did very well. Von Miller was spectacular.
Yeah.
He was a great foil for Aaron Donald. And, Jalen Ramsey was okay. He got beat a lot, but he changed the way other guys could defend on the field. So, the truth of the matter, it was a real complimentary effort. And the Rams, they made the plays they need to make when they needed to make them, and that included Stafford. So it's a whole new year. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, and I think kind of the whole point of what the Rams are doing was to just give Sean McVay that title, to give Matt Stafford that title. Like they were going, it was either go big or go home.
Yep, went all in.
Balls to the walls, man. Now, Bernie Fratto joining us. Now I have to ask you about your book, right? What was your how was that process? Was it what was your favorite part about the whole book? That you wrote that dropped in July of 2021.
Right, the ebook was in July, and then the hard copy came out in December. I think maybe the favorite thing was how the whole darn thing started, because I had no intention of writing a book, but I've been accumulating stories for 30 years.
Yeah. You've been accumulating stories for 30 years. Yep, you're good. You're good.
Okay, so probably the most interesting thing is that the very first story in the book, in the introduction, was the first night I had a credential, June 17th, 1994. And that was the night of the OJ chase. And I'm in the press box at Tiger Stadium, and we're watching it on the monitors, but with no sound. And then David Gascon comes on. He's the commander, LAPD, and he's telling us OJ's a fugitive. We didn't know what he was saying. And that guy got home that night at 1 o'clock in the morning, turned on the TV, heard it. And lo and behold, who am I working with now? David Gascon's son, David Gascon.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
So just said, we've talked about that. But then it went from there, and then it's a compilation of about 50 stories that are kind of behind the scenes throughout the years that the average folks don't really have, privy to. Stories that have been told in locker rooms and over a few drinks, rubbing elbows with people. And so the idea was to try to share, stories that are very off the wall, but true.
Yep. And I know you got to run here, Bernie. So I'm going to ask you real quick here. Where could we, where could people get that book? Where is it available?
Just go to Amazon. It's right there on Amazon, but it's also on, but go to Amazon. That's the easiest way to buy it. You can just punch in my name and The View from the Cheap Seat. It'll come right up.
All righty. And I got to ask you, as a blind guy, Bernie, is there an audiobook of that, or is somebody, I feel like that'd be really cool.
There isn't currently. I've thought about that. I'm not saying that can't happen someday, but currently, no, I'm sorry. But I think
you're fine.
At one time or another, I've told a lot of these stories on my show, not all of them. Maybe I need to do is start telling more of them. And it was actually suggested to me by Jim Cutler that I start a podcast just telling old time stories like that, and I'm considering it. And
Hey,
it could be part of the Fox platform.
that would be really cool, man. And Bernie, thanks for coming on here despite all the technical difficulties, and thanks for making time to hop on the podcast. And whenever there's a
Okay.
crazy Detroit story, I got to bring you back because that's your MO. Detroit and baseball. That's what Bernie Fratto does.
All right. Thank you very much for having me, and I appreciate you that you listen to my show. You have a good rest of your day.
You too, man. Thank you.